Hey Chargers fans, big news coming in. As the NFL draft gets closer, whispers are getting louder about some potential moves the Chargers might make. Yes, we're talking about possible trades. And no, not just in the early rounds. Even third-round surprises could shake things up. Now, one name that keeps popping up is Jamari Salyer. He's shown a lot of promise, stepping in when Rashawn Slater was injured and doing a solid job. He's versatile, played on both sides of the line, and teams across the league have noticed. But here's the thing. The Chargers' offensive line room is starting to look crowded. With new additions like Mekhi Becton and Andre James, there might just be more talent than space. And in a system like Jim Harbaugh's, players need to be flexible, ready to switch from right tackle to left guard and everything in between. Before listening to the latest news, subscribe to the channel, like it, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Let's move on to the new news. So, could the Chargers use this draft to trade a valuable piece like Jamari Salyer? It's possible. He has value, and there are teams out there that could really use someone like him. Whether or not a deal actually happens, one thing's for sure. This draft could bring some unexpected changes. When it comes to the Los Angeles Chargers, one thing is clear: versatility matters. In Jim Harbaugh's system, players aren't just expected to do one job. They need to handle multiple roles and adapt on the fly. That's especially true when it comes to tight ends. Now, lately there's been a lot of buzz around a possible trade involving Mark Andrews, the star tight end from the Ravens. Some reports have linked the Chargers to this potential move, but how likely is it really? Well, before the signing of Tyler Conklin, this idea may have made more sense. But now, the picture looks different. Conklin adds depth, and the Chargers are also expected to draft a young tight end in the upcoming draft. So, a trade for someone like Mark Andrews, while exciting to think about, might not be the smartest move right now. Yes, Andrews is talented. No doubt about that. But he's not getting any younger, and this year's draft is loaded with fresh tight end talent. Instead of going after a veteran, the Chargers might focus on building for the future. There's still talk out there, and some analysts continue to mention the Chargers as one of the possible landing spots. But when you step back and look at the full picture, the more realistic path for LA might be sticking with what they have and adding a rookie to develop, not chasing a high-profile trade. Let's dig deeper into the Chargers' draft day possibilities. We already talked about Jamari Salyer, but what if the focus shifts to another big name on the offensive line, Zion Johnson? There's a proposed trade that's been making rounds. The Chargers would send Jamari Salyer and a 2025 fourth-round pick to the Ravens in exchange for tight end Mark Andrews. On paper, it sounds like a bold move, trading a young lineman and a pick for one of the league's top tight ends. But how realistic is it? This kind of deal only makes sense if the Chargers miss out on a top tight end in the draft. For example, if Brock Bowers or another first-round talent isn't available at pick 22, then maybe, just maybe, this trade becomes a conversation. But that's a big if. Now, another name being whispered as a trade candidate is Zion Johnson. Drafted in the first round back in 2022, Zion had a strong start to his career, but his performance last season raised some eyebrows. He gave up a career-high 7 sacks, not ideal for someone once seen as a building block on the line. Even so, Zion has versatility. He's played both guard spots and is now even being considered for a move to center. That kind of flexibility makes him valuable, not just to the Chargers, but possibly to other teams as well. So what does it all mean? The Chargers are looking to reshape their roster under Coach Harbaugh, and that could include parting ways with players who once seemed untouchable. Whether it's Salyer, Zion, or someone else, don't be surprised if draft weekend brings a surprise move from LA. Now here's where things really start to get interesting for the Chargers. Let's go back to Zion Johnson for a second. It looks like LA may not plan to re-sign him long-term, so instead of letting him walk for nothing later, why not try to move him now, maybe even on draft day? Or, if another team loses a starter in training camp, Zion could be a valuable name to keep on the trade radar. Some teams run zone schemes where Zion's skills might actually fit better than they do in Harbaugh's current system, which leans more toward a power run style. But Zion isn't the only player who could be on the move. Trey Pipkins is another name that's drawing attention. He's a solid lineman, no question. But his salary cap hit, that's a different story. Over $9 million. And with Mickey Becton now in the building, Pipkins could become more of a luxury than a necessity. If the Chargers decided to cut or trade him before June 1st, they'd save a huge chunk of cap space, nearly $6.7 million. That kind of money can make a big difference during a rebuild. And let's be honest, if you can flip Pipkins for a pick or as part of a bigger trade package, it's something worth considering. With new offensive linemen likely coming in through the draft, the Chargers are clearly reshaping the trenches. That means guys like Zion and Pipkins, who were once seen as key pieces, might now be trade chips instead. And the trade talk doesn't stop there. One more name is coming up next, and it's going to surprise a lot of fans. Quentin Johnston. Let's talk about a name that's been at the center of debate in LA, Quentin Johnston. Now, before you write him off completely, let's look at the numbers. Johnston caught 55 passes for 711 yards and 8 touchdowns last season. Are those numbers elite for a first-round pick? But they're far from terrible, especially for a young receiver still finding his rhythm. And here's the key, he's only 23 years old. That's incredibly young in NFL years, and he still has time to develop into a top weapon. The transition from college to the pros is massive, and not everyone dominates right away. In fact, if Johnston stays with the Chargers and keeps progressing, he might push past 1,000 receiving yards next season. The talent is there, he just needs to sharpen his focus, especially when it comes to consistency and concentration. But there's another side to this story. Because of his age and potential, Johnston still has trade value. The Chargers could potentially include him in a draft day deal to move up the board. Let's say LA wants a highly rated wideout, or a star player who won't fall past teams like the Broncos. Someone like Tetaroa McMillan or Malik Neighbors. A trade package involving Johnston and a pick could make that happen. It's all hypothetical, but very real at the same time. Johnston might still become a star in powder blue, but if the Chargers decide to move up in the draft, he might just be the key piece that makes it possible. Now picture this. The Chargers make a bold move and land someone like Tetaroa McMillan or another top wide receiver in the draft. Suddenly, Quentin Johnston becomes expendable. At that point, another team might say, wait, we like Johnston. He's young, he's got raw talent, and maybe we can bring the best out of him. And honestly, that wouldn't be a crazy idea. Yes, he's had his share of frustrating drops, but you can't ignore the upside. He's only 23 years old with plenty of room to grow. In the right system, he could absolutely bounce back and become a key contributor. This is exactly the kind of situation that makes draft day so exciting. Potential trades, unexpected moves, and the Chargers holding some serious chips to play. And one thing's for sure, General Manager Joe Hortiz and Coach Jim Harbaugh have been on the same page from day one. They're not just rebuilding, they're building smart. This draft will show us even more of their vision. The Chargers may not pick this high again anytime soon, so every decision matters. And with minds like Hortiz and Harbaugh leading the charge, fans should be watching every pick like it's the game-winning play.